What I'm here to do is help you do your job safely, which is I help you come up with the things to let you do your job right. So I help you work through, I help you identify the risks, I help you do it all, and I help you do it up front. So work all those things out beforehand, because there's nothing better than going, oops, and then you've got to get Aaron involved. And then Aaron comes in and goes, right, let's work through it all. And we all get embarrassed because we go, oh, I should have done that, I know that, and I didn't do it. And we've all got good reasons for not doing that sort of stuff. Like at the time, there's a good reason for not doing everything in your mind right. You go, oh, it'll be okay, I've done this before, I've done that. That's okay, we all do it, it's a natural human thing. What we're trying to do here is talk about the processes and that to stop you from doing that, to stop you from making that decision. One of the other classics I've got is, that looks pretty good, and you go, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years. I go, and that's okay. Would you get your kid to do it that way? Would you get someone who doesn't know, who hasn't got your experience to do it that way? Oh no, they wouldn't be able to do it, it's not safe. Okay, then why are you doing it that way? If somebody who doesn't know, you know, there's all sorts of stuff. The meeting rules, talk. This is like safety. If there's something you want to question, ask. No such thing as a stupid question, only a stupid answer. It's a rabbit with a pancake on its head.
Why?
Exactly, because I can. See? There's the reason. So that's what it is. It's pancake as rabbit is. He's one of my favourite things that I take everywhere, because everyone just looks and goes, what the hell? Ask. Ask why. If you look at it and then just shut up, you're going to sit there and question everything all the time. What you've got to do is speak up all the time. It's like that with safety. A lot of the time you'll see something and you go, oh, why are they doing it that way? But then you'll shut up and do it because someone's done it that way. They might have made a mistake, they might have forgotten, they might have done something else. You don't know. Everyone's got value, everyone's got a reason. Just ask. HSE observations and stats. Now, does everyone here know the difference between leading and lagging indicators? There's another lolly on the table for it.
Well, leading's before and lagging's after.
Yep, that's exactly right. But you don't get the lolly. So what we're doing is we're collecting all of the different information about the HSE performance in the organisation. So we look at leading and lagging indicators. Lagging indicators, the ones that happen afterwards, incidents. You know, observations, you know, where you see something go wrong, it's a hazard, this, that, things that are unexpected. So you collect those together. The leading indicators are the things that we try and do to control those up front. So we talk about doing site, you know, task observations. So you watch your peer doing some work. We talk about doing inspections, you know, quality tests, all that sort of stuff. That's the leading indicators, because they're the things that'll pick up those problems beforehand. So they'll give us information beforehand without it actually going wrong. So they're the two things and they're the keys. So why do we collect those? Why would you think we collect those?
Well, you determine whether there's a systemic problem.
Correct, yeah.
That you're doing over and over again, then you can avoid it.
Yeah, correct. That's exactly right. The more data we get, and the longer we get, the more we can see the systemic problems, if there are any, and then see, you know, things that we can do to fix it. No blame. If an incident's happened, it's happened. There's no blame unless someone's done it deliberately. And before you ask, yes, there are deliberate incidents. Yes, I've investigated them. Yes, those people usually get the next helicopter home when they're on an oil rig. Well, they get sent off because, you know, guys throwing hard hats into blooming plant because they're tired of work. I need a break. Boom, bang, machine blows up. Yeah, it's a little bit of a, you know, we might actually blame you for that. But if someone's trying to do the right thing and something goes wrong, you know, everyone's doing it for the right reasons, so you don't blame them. So it's a learning opportunity. You then ask why they did it. So we do the investigations and we develop those learning opportunities to make sure that everyone understands what's happened and we find out what we can do to prevent it from happening again. And that's all of us, not just the company, but it's everybody. And the other one is sharing. Because we do those learning opportunities here, but the thing is sharing about it. So if there's an incident out on site, we mightn't understand it because I'm not the expert, but you guys over there might go, oh no, we know how to fix that. This is what you do. Oh, shuzbutt. But we haven't updated our procedures and all that sort of stuff. So we've already got the solutions, but we just haven't spread it out everywhere. So that's the sharing thing. People have worked out how to fix it because they've had it happen before and they've caught it beforehand or whatever, but they share it and they bring it across. So then we can start to share all those learnings between each other and collectively we get better faster. It's all about looking for the root causes and working out how we stop it from going again. So that's why we want all of these observations and statistics. And I look for root causes not just in incidents, but I look for root causes in observations, I look for root causes in inspections, I look for everything and work out what I can learn from it, What are the reasons for things happening and how we can improve it and how we can address those problems. I need you guys to report and tell me about everything. Even if you don't think it's a big a deal, you might tell me, because don't forget, and it's something that we've tried to explain to somebody, root causes down the bottom can influence a lot of things happening out in the field. Key performance indicators, what does the company want to actually accept? But this is one of the most important things to try and explain to people. 300,000 unsafe acts, 600 near misses, 30 minor incidents, 10 serious incidents, 1 fatality. So these are free lessons. Nothing goes wrong, no one gets hurt, anything else. You get 300 warning signs, statistically, for every one time someone dies. But if you start acting on these things, you can then reduce that chance. So that's why the data's accuracy and the information from you guys is paramount. That's because you're the guys who see all these things. I can't get to all the sites and watch every day, all day on everybody and pick up all those 300,000 things that are going wrong. But if you can and tell me, and the 600 near misses, so you'll have a near miss, jeepers, you know, hammer slid down the roof and didn't fall off. Great. How many people would tell us about that sort of stuff in any way, shape or form? No one. That's all right. But that's a near miss because something went wrong on the site with that. It might be that, you know, oh, our guys were slippery hands. Yeah, but we can fix that. You can have lanyards for tools if we know it's a problem. You know, like you can do that sort of stuff. Or we might change the kickboards or something like that. So this is why I need, or I should say we, the HSE people, need all the information that we can get from you guys, because the more of this I have, the better I am at stopping these. The more chance I've got at coming up with the right answers to stop that from happening. So this is this. So that's why I'm asking for the data. And that's if everyone wonders where the hell did that come from, that's been proven through studies since the 1930s. So then, once we're doing this, we have key performance indicators. So we need to come up with what's actually acceptable for us in the business. And like, you know, lagging indicators. We're reporting them, but what's an acceptable performance indicator for accidents and incidents? What would people accept in the organisation? Ooh, deathly silence. Correct. I accept that I don't want anyone getting hurt or anything going wrong on my watch. You know, we've talked about reporting of incidents, so, you know, lagging incidents. Don't hide them, just tell us. So whatever happens, you just tell us. And then we just put it in the stats and we learn. But what about leading indicators? So now we're talking about KPIs about what we should do to try and prevent the accidents. How do we come up with those leading indicators? You know, what do we think is reasonable? What's appropriate? What's that? How many safety inspections do we want to do for a job? You know, so you work out a job's 4 weeks, you might go, we'll do 2. 2 formal safety inspections with cold eyes. Now you as supervisors are doing your safety inspections when you start all the time, because I know you walk around the sites and check it all. But we want to check from people with cold eyes. And everyone goes, why with the cold eyes? Remember I talked about that thing, I've been doing it for 20 years, that's safe. Having someone who hasn't got that experience with you, they'll ask the dumb questions. You sure that's okay? You know, why are you hanging off the blooming thing like this over the side? You're leaning outside the scaffolding, you know, all those sort of things. And they'll just then make you stop and go, oh yeah, is there another way of doing it? And then that'll then drive you back into the thing of the hierarchy of controls. Do we all know what that is? What's the hierarchy of safety controls? What's the first thing you want to do? Correct. We want to get rid of it. We don't want the risk there. So if we can eliminate it, we'll eliminate it. So if we can, instead of having to work on the roof, you can work on the ground, you've just taken the whole fall from heights out of the thing. Rather than working in an excavation thing, you know, you've eliminated that. You eliminate working in confined spaces. You eliminate all of those high risks wherever you can. That's the first thing you try and do. So you always ask yourself, do I have to do it that way? Is there another way? And the reason we should go back and continually look at it, because things change. The observations give us those free lessons, the ones down here that mean that we don't have to pay the price. They're cheap, they're not so cheap. So we want to stay down here, we'll get our free lessons. So right now, what we're doing is we're going through all of the IMS documentation and the forms and everything else. And you'll go, okay, well that's all the procedures and everything else. But that also includes the forms and everything else that you've got to fill in as part of your normal daily jobs during out on the site. So we're going through all of that in the field for you guys as well. So we're looking at that sort of stuff as a data analysis process. We're reviewing the systems that control the forms as well. So there's a whole backlog of processes going on in the site, in here and everything else. What we've done initially is we've looked at it and gone, are these okay? They fit for purpose, you know, that sort of stuff. When were they last reviewed? What's the content like? So we've done a gross overview at the top. Now we're coming through and getting the detailed reviews being done. So you guys are going to be asked to have input into some of the stuff because they're the forms that you use day to day and you need the information as much as we do. So they're going to be starting to be shared out with you guys. Look at it, change the forms. So there's a staggered process, so we're not going to give you all forms tomorrow and say, oh, can you have them done by Tuesday? No, that's not going to happen. But what we're going to do is start putting them out and giving them to you and asking you to have a look at them. Identify what can be improved on the forms that we've got. If they're okay, say they're okay. If they're not, say this is what else I need, this is what I want to do. And then talk to us about everything else. So if you've got suggestions that you've seen on other places and that, don't wait for the forms to be reviewed, come back and talk to us. So if you think there's something better going on outside there that you can fix, don't wait until that form comes out to you. Tell me up front, put it into us, you know, tell me, we'll start to look at it and we can then put it in and it'll start to help us prioritise things as well and get stuff done. And it'll help inform some of the other decisions we do because everything's interlinked. IMS requirements and site supervisor obligations. The IMS has been put together with all those forms and everything else to help you guys on site meet your obligations as well as the company obligations. And everyone goes, oh yeah, and you go, funnily enough, they're spelled out in the laws. So you have obligations under the OH&S Act as to what supervisors have to do on the site, employees have obligations as to what they have to do on the site, and the company has obligations as to what they have to do under the OH&S Act. Now, do we want to be sitting there and going through the Occupational Health and Safety Act every time you go outside? No. So what we've tried to do is come up with a system where we allow these things to happen from a set of forms and a set of processes and that sort of stuff, so that we design them so that they comply. That's why there's a certain section of things, you know, there's that sort of stuff. So that's where we're going. So Dr. Google says this is what the site supervisor is responsible for. The moral and legal obligation and responsibilities to make sure the safety of their work party, ensuring that all jobs are correctly planned and monitored and that you have everything, you do everything possible to ensure that no one is hurt on the job. That's the overarching responsibility under the OH&S Act for what the site supervisors have to do as well as the company. You know, and WorkSafe have got documents in there. I don't know whether you've all read them or you've seen them, but there's a whole lot of documents in there that talk about all the things that we have to do on the site. So we've gone back, we re-evaluate all of our stuff that we've got in there against those to make sure that we comply as a company, that we help you guys comply, so that we've given you all the tools so that you can comply, and to give you the confidence that if you've got a problem, you can just ring us back up and ask. That's why we're working on this sort of stuff. What we're trying to talk about here is, and this is my favourite thing, the old radio station for all the guys on the sites. What's in it for me? WWIFM. We have all the documentation in there that allows you to meet that stuff. So therefore, use them, fill them in, do it. It helps you meet all your obligations out on site. It helps the company meet all its obligations. If you do them and do them properly, then you've done all the right things. So that's why we talk about pre-start, swims, inspections, reporting forms, meeting templates, site diaries. All of those provide all of that compliance with the regulatory stuff. Use the plans, use the inductions, site emergency response plans, and make sure that if something's written in here, you do it. Because if it's written in there and it says we're going to do a walkthrough every 2 days and we don't do it, that's not cool. And if something goes wrong, that'll then come up and it puts a wedge in. So just make sure you do it. So again, we're doing a review on all these templates and everything else to come through and make sure that it's fit for purpose. So if there's a problem with it and you can't do X, Y, and Z, talk to us about it. Are you using them to talk about them at the start of toolboxes? You're chatting about them, talking to your subbies, having a look, reading, because I haven't seen many questions back about them. So this is an open-ended one. This isn't me lecturing you about safety alerts. This is actually looking for feedback. What do you guys do with them?
Yeah, Joel especially brings them up at the start of the toolbox.
Cool. Gets
documented. Everyone's having an open discussion.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool.
I think they're relevant. I think they're concise. They're enough information to say, okay, here's something that's happened, whether it be inside the business or outside. Here's something to be aware of, and you can pass that on and just ask the questions. Same if we'll have a toolbox in the morning and I'll throw it out there. If everyone wants to respond, they'll respond. If they don't, sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning on site, people are squeezing the pus out of their eyes, but let's talk about it. Yeah. So
when we used to do them previously, we'd have them at like 11 o'clock, so you do them at Smoko, and some of the times we'd actually get guys, so you'd have the leaders, like from the office and that, to go out to the sites, and I'd make them take donuts. That's one of my old quirky things was every time you go out on the site, pay the price for interrupting their time, take donuts, and you'd have a talk at 11 o'clock. And you might actually have a Zoom meeting with all the companies so that everyone can ask questions together, so it's head office and everything else. So there's different ways of doing this sort of stuff. The other thing is just when you're talking about it, make sure you're noting down the site diary. Site diary is something that is really important because it keeps a record of everything that goes on the site. So it might be, you know, you can write that in the site diary or you can write it in your pre-start meeting. So if you've done your pre-start meeting, you write down the topic you've talked about. You know, Toolbox talk, da-da-da. So if you've done your pre-start meeting where you're sharing stuff, write it in there as well. Doesn't matter where, as long as it's in the site diary. So we'll have a site diary, you know, we're looking at that, bringing that in, but then we're also looking at other tools and everything else. Site diary is a gross term that I use and WorkSafe and everybody use. It's how you keep a record of what's been happening on the site.
So essentially that whole Google chat is our site diary?
That's part of your site diary, so it'll form part of it, so will the pre-start, so will this, so will that. Everything forms part of the site diary. Some places have it all in one thing where they write it all down, it's your site diary. Some places have it in multiple different forms. It's just, and this is where it gets funny in HSE because we have these terms and it sort of goes, how do you mean it? And you go, that's where we go back and say, this is where the systems that we've got in place comply with it. So, you know, site diary, I should have put it in inverted commas so that everyone knew that it was like it's something that we keep for the records for the site. So that's where it forms. It just shows you what you've done for the whole time. This is one that we want to talk about, emergency response equipment on the site. So we've got a whole lot of stuff that you guys have got to add on the site, but we're going back through and just double checking, one, what you've got, two, making sure that what you've got is appropriate, like as in what you've currently got is all right. So we're going to start looking at that sort of stuff and asking questions about, you've got your field kits in the cars. When was the last time that they'd been checked and made sure that there's enough stuff in there, that the list there is matched up, that everything's still in date? You know, like your saline goes out of date. Who would have thought salt water in a little plastic bottle can actually expire, but it does. So, and we've got all those sort of things. And then we're looking at other stuff that we're bringing in. So, you know, like we've talked about having snake bite kits in the car. You know, with the new bandages that when we went and did our first aid, they've got these wonderful bandages that, to get the right pressure on your leg, you stretch them and the shape forms into the right shape and you go, wow, that makes it so much easier than trying to guess how tight the bandage is. So we're improving those sort of things and making sure that you've got the right emergency response equipment on the site. We're looking at defibs, you know, that's just something that you've got to keep looking at. Now they're becoming around. Do we look at them? Is the risk worth having them on the site there? Is it worth having them in the building here? You've got to go back and just keep revisiting stuff. So we've got to keep doing that sort of stuff. Rescue kits, you know, height rescue kits. Do we have the right staff? Do we need more of those to go around? So we're doing an assessment on all the risks and all the works that we do and just making sure that we've got all the right amounts of emergency response equipment for us. Anything else that we need in the cars, you know, like safety triangles. Do you have an actual, you know, you've got witches hats. They're okay, but you know, if you don't have the witches hats with you in your vans or whatever, you need a safety triangle hidden somewhere as part of your emergency kit. So we're just quietly going through that and looking at what's on the site. And one of the things is, do you guys have any more suggestions of stuff that you think that you've seen on sites that's good that we don't have, that we can then assess and determine whether we need it on site? Because again, this is the feedback. We do our assessments here, we go and we do the risk assessments, look at your sites, everything else, and go, this is what we think we've got. But if you reckon there's something else that's important, you know, it might be a site-specific thing or it might be suitable for, you know, you guys. I don't know, but is anyone here, you know, anaphylaxis? Do we need an EpiPen? That when you're dealing with the guys on site and you're working out your site, your first site inspection, you walk around, where's their first aid room? Where's all their stuff? You know, their eye washes, we can use their eye wash, but it's 100 yards, you know, 200 yards down the road. Is that somewhere where you want someone to be going like this, trying to walk along when they've got stuff in their eye? No, you want it right on site. So it's that thing of bringing it to where we need it to and making sure that we've got the supplies where we need it. Training requirements. Now this is something Alana and I have been looking at too. We've done all the needs analysis of what's going on, but now we're starting to find other things coming up too, like we've just had Alex do telehandler training. So this is something that we're doing just to let you know that we keep looking at the training and working out what needs to be done. Telehandlers in Victoria don't have a licence requirement for training, but there's a requirement to prove that you've done everything you can to make sure that they're competent. Who have we got who can determine whether someone's competent to drive a telehandler? You know, one that's under 3 tonnes that you can use with your forklift. It's just you go to where the experts are. You know, like, I know how to drive a telehandler. Would I use it to say well, other people are competent? No. You let someone who does the training and understands it all. So that's what we're doing. So we're looking at that. So we're tracking training all the time. So, you know, that's it. So if you go out on site and there's a new bit of kit that comes out there, you know, and we've got a new bit of kit, let's talk about the training, you know, if something else comes up. We're tracking the training all the time. Employee Hero holds a copy of all the licenses and issues reminders. If you've got an idea about some other training that you've seen or heard about, like I said, this is not a one-way street. This is where if you see something else that's good, talk to us and we'll have a look at it. And then we'll tell you about what we've thought about it. So if there's training that'll help you at your job, you've heard someone else has done some training on, I don't know, flying drones or something like that, if that's going to help our jobs, then maybe that's what we do, So we're not adverse to looking at anything that will help get the jobs done properly out on the sites. We're not going to issue you with a pair of safety glasses every day, but we'll issue them if they wear out natural wear and tear or an accident or something. You'll get new ones. But the kicker is you need to keep looking after them and make sure that if it's not fit for purpose, tell us, we'll get you a new one. Or if you're out on site, ring up and just say, look, I've broken my safety glasses, I don't have spares, I've got to go and get some more. That's okay. Some of the PPE actually has lifespans. Hard hats have a lifetime, that you're only supposed to wear them 2 years after they've been issued to you. Used to be from manufacturing date, that's all changed now, so it's the date that it's issued. Do you know what the best part is? You're not allowed to put stickers on hard hats. Because the glue, it's the same as my car racing helmet. You are not allowed to put a sticker on because what it does is it etches it, and then you've got a little tiny difference there. Where does it fail along the crack? I've seen a guy with a painted car racing helmet, he did it himself, had the accident, the helmet just split in half on the paint line. And he wasn't well. So, no stickers on your hard hats, just don't, please. And I know we all want to put stickers on our hard hat because it's so cool having all the different sites that you've worked on your hard hats. It's crazy, don't do it. And requirements for your PPE can change. So depending upon your environment, your risks, assessments, the site requirements and everything else, you may need to have all of those things. So work out what your risk assessment is when you're going out on the site, ask them what you're going to need. So I don't want you to get out there and all of a sudden little plugs in your ears, don't cut it. You've got to have muffs that have a higher dB drop and you're not out there with them. That's no cool. Or some sites that I go on, you've got to wear both. You've got to wear the plugs in your ears and muffs on the outside. So that's not unusual on sites. So be wary of that. Chainsaw pants, yep, you don't need those. Mind you, using grinders on a thing, I'm starting to wonder about, grinders and that sort of stuff. So we've got things like that. Hand protection, that sort of stuff. Harnesses. There's requirements around how you look at harnesses and inspect them and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to have all those sort of things. So there's going to be PPE registers coming in where you can show that you've done your duties in making sure that your harnesses are inspected them because you are the competent people. So it's upon you to do the inspection.